who all went to the state game? I went there. Wasn't quite as cold as last year, but and I guess a W is a W, even if it was kind of ugly. But hey, so state champions once again. So goals for this week. I'm going to do 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 this week. We're not going to quiz on any of those. On Monday next week, a week from today, we're not covering any new material, but I have a really good stir-up story that goes along with probability. It's a good one for Monday next week. I swear you'll love it. It actually has lots of celebrities in the story. So real-life occurrence that took place with stirrup, and I got a good PowerPoint that goes with it. So yeah, it's a regular day, but we're not supposed to cover any new material. So you get a stirrup story, but it deals with statistics. Yeah, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know when the final is in here. Tuesday, you think? Okay. All right. So are you guys on that page in your book? What page is it? Page 87? All right. Page 87 we're at. All right. You guys ready? You guys set? I think you guys will enjoy this chapter. Just to let you know, this chapter goes into second semester, so over break, don't toss the booklet because we still are covering, and then you'll have to go buy a new book come probably like a week or so in the second semester. All right, probability. The foundation of statistical evidence. Okay, pretty simple. Flip a coin. It's either going to be heads or tails. What if it lands right on its edge? Okay, then you have to reflip it. So you have two outcomes. You have a head or a tail. You have a 1/2 chance of throwing a head, a 1/2 chance of throwing a tail. 1/2 plus 1/2 is 2/2. 2/2 is 1. So when you're doing probability, the probability of an event happening versus the probability of an event not happening, those fractions add up to be 100% or 1, depending if you're using fractions or decimals. All right. So a lot of times you're going to see P at X. Okay. When you see the P, that means we're doing a probability. So it says you have a 0% chance that an event, a 0% probability of the event that it's impossible for it to take place. So probability of what's probability today is Monday and tomorrow's Monday, it's not going to happen. You have one Monday a week. Okay. P at X is 100% when the event will definitely take place. You have 100% chances it's going to take place. And then they have like 37%. So 37 out of 100 attempts would be some sort of event. And there's all kinds of things with probability that take place. It's a more fun portion of probability and statistics, but it can be very maddening. And there are some equations that go through, of course, open notes and things like that. Stick with us. So let's see. So basically, the probability of event X happening is the event happens over total outcomes. That's basically the gist of it. So if you had a deck of cards, what's the probability you would pull a king out of a deck of cards? Well, there's 4 different kings in a normal deck of cards. There's 52 cards, so you have 4 out of 52. Nice thing with probability, you are allowed to reduce, but you don't have to reduce. So you can keep it as 4 out of 52, or you can say it's 1 out of 13 chance. Probability is different than odds. Probability is different than odds. Let's just do a quick side. Probability versus odds. Okay, let's take the event. What's the probability that I draw a king out of a deck of cards? Again, I said it's 4 out of 52, which reduces to 1 out of 13. So this is the probability. if you want to find the odds of an event, it's the probability it will happen divided by the probability it won't happen, and then fraction over fraction, flip over the denominator. So your odds of pulling a king are 1 in 12. Okay? The reason why the casinos are so successful is they make the odds go in their favor. Okay? So if you were to play, say, a blackjack game, or if you were to play craps or roulette or pai gow or any of the games in Vegas, they will have already figured out the odds of something winning, and the odds are how your payback goes. If you wanted to create a fair game, let's say you had a game of, you have a deck of cards, there's probability you pull a king out. If you wanted to make it a fair game, that means if you bet $1, you would get 12. Vegas would change it to, if you bet $1, you win 8. So the casinos put the odds in their favor. That's why they win so much. Now, real life scenario. You guys ever heard of the Bellagio Casino in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Okay, it was a very fancy casino that they built in 1998, I believe it was. Might have been 97. So I apologize for not having it correctly. So casinos, anytime they have an opening of a casino, they'll have a soft opening, usually on the Thursday, and then they do the grand opening on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so the first weekend. The Bellagio Casino cost $1.2 billion to build. It was the first billion-dollar casino resort in the world. Okay? So a couple of things that were kind of strange. My buddy George, who was also a math teacher at my school, and we went the weekend before. Just, you could get on the property, you couldn't get in the building. The number of coins, I'm not talking cash, I'm talking coins. Okay, this was for the slot machines when they had coins in the slot machine. Now they print your receipt and you go to the cashier and they give you money for it. But the number of coins that came to the casino came in 78 armored cars. And that was just for the coins being taken to the casino. Okay. When the Bellagio opened, we parked way far away and then kind of walked over to it because it was packed. Casino openings are very busy. Every one of the table games was open. Every one of the slot machines was open. And they had a line behind every gambler. There was a line of people waiting to take that spot when that person was done gambling. Okay? The Bellagio, $1.2 billion. I was watching the news on Sunday night after it had opened. So it had a soft opening on a Thursday, which means everything was open, but they didn't have all the fancy, yay, ta-das and all the giveaways. So between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the day of Sunday, the Bellagio Casino in profits paid for its bill. So they brought in more than $1.2 billion in profit from their opening. Okay. Some of the real scary things about the casinos in Nevada: the casinos cover all of their overhead. So all of their employees' paychecks, all of their electricity, all of their water, their lease on the property, everything is covered on the nickel slot machines alone. Okay? That's why they say Vegas is built on one nickel at a time, because the nickel slot machines cover all of the overhead. Everything else on the quarter slot machines, the dollar slot machines, the $5 slot machines, all of the table games, all of that extra is pure profit for the casino. It's absolutely amazing what a casino brings in, and it's all based on probability. And the probability is converted to odds. The probability to odds is the probability of an event happening over the probability of the event not happening. The odds is the payout table. The odds payout table is made unfair in Nevada for a reason, because they make a lot of money. Okay, so if you ever want to become uber rich, own a casino. Okay, when I was my first year in Vegas, my MAC coordinator, her name is Gail Cannon. Her fiance was one of the higher ups at the MGM casino. Okay, and so she says to me, "Hey, let's go to the MGM," and I'm like, MGM had expensive tables. Okay, I always like going and playing blackjack or craps at the dollar bets because I'm cheap and I didn't have a lot of money at the time. But I was like, all right, I'll go to the MGM, and I'm like, you know, I'll do like $100 total. I'll just gamble very conservatively. Well, the nice thing was is I never had to take money out of my pocket because I was given a duty with Gail to be a clam. Seashell clam. Okay, and this is what a clam is in the casinos, and they do it all the time. The casino will give a clam about $30,000 in chips. And all the clam's job is to go out and play any of the table games and to create excitement. Okay? You're not allowed to keep the money. You're not allowed to keep what you win. You lose the money. It's just the casino money. It doesn't hurt them. You're allowed to tip the dealer. You are not allowed to drink anything other than soda or water because they don't want the clams, drinking alcohol. You're allowed to tip the cocktail waitresses that come around. But you go out to the tables, and with the casino's money, you just sit there and play the games. I learned in my first year in Vegas how to play every table game in Las Vegas for free. Okay? It's kind of cool. Walking around with a rack of $30,000 in chips. That was cool. But the dealers didn't know you were a clam. So you would sit there. So I went over to the craps table. I went to the roulette wheel. I went and played Pai Gow, Mahjong, all of these different games that were available in Vegas. I learned how to play them all. Okay? They didn't want you at the slot machines because that was just an individual thing. But they want you at the table. So what they asked is if you were at a table that got really busy, just walk away from the table and go to another table that's not busy and try and get that busy. And so the thing is, there's a lot of walkthroughs in the casino. They're looking for tables that there's a lot of action at because people think, oh, you're going to win more money at those tables, that there's more action. The thing is, the table has no idea if it's going to be a good table or a bad table, okay, because the dice or the roulette wheel or the marble or the blackjack table, none of those cards know what's going to happen. A card has no idea if it's going to get pulled once out of a deck, or because a lot of times in Vegas you have anywhere from 5 to 10 decks of cards they use for blackjack. So you could be dealt 2 King of Hearts in the game of blackjack or any other combination, which is kind of crazy, but that's how the tables work. And it was funny. We were sitting at the table. It was me and Gail, and then after that, George started jumping in with us. We would start going to the casinos, and me and George would sit there and we'd be counting cards in blackjack. And there was one time that we were being clams, and the table was at a plus 15, 16, or 17, which is the higher probability that you will get another face card in the deck. Doesn't mean you'll win. We would increase our bet, and there was one time that the pit boss came over and said, "We know you're counting. Do not improve your bets ever again, or you will be asked to leave and you'll be cited for trespassing. And if you ever show up to this casino again in trespassing, it's a felony." So people say, oh, it's illegal to count cards. It's not illegal to count cards. It's illegal to count cards. And when you have the odds in your favor, you improve your bet, meaning you go from a $5 bet to a $1,000 bet, stuff like that. I'm not saying like a $5 bet to a $10 bet. They're not going to worry too much about that person that's doing it. Counting cards is pretty easy. You have to be good at single digit addition, realizing once you get up to 18, it starts over again at 1. And it works on multiple decks. It works on multiple decks very well. Single deck is really easy to count cards because you're seeing only 52 cards. in a deck, where if you have multiple decks, it's kind of harder to do. But counting cards, basically, here's the advantage of counting cards. My method of counting cards will give you about a 3.5% advantage over the house on getting a face card. Okay, it's not you're getting a blackjack, you're just getting a face card. So basically, any face cards, Jack, Queen, King, are worth 0, and then the number cards are worth their actual value. Ace is worth 1. 2 is worth 2, 3 is worth 3, so on and so forth. You have to be able to see all the cards on the table in order to count. And again, you reset after every 18. So if you're an 18 and all of a sudden there was 7 points on the table, or let's say you're a 17 and there were 7 points that you can see on the table, what that would do is it becomes a +6. So 17 rolled over at 18, add 7 to it, it rolls over to a +6. And if you get to a 14, 15, 16, 17, or 18, it gives you roughly a 3.5% advantage over the house. Okay, so if any of you are interested in how to count cards, I can show you how to count. There's multiple ways of doing it, but it's kind of fun. So let's see. So the P at X, number of successful outcomes over the number of possible outcomes. Example 1, the probability of flipping a coin and obtaining heads. Heads happens 1/2 of the time, because there is 1 successful outcome of 2 possible outcomes, because you either have heads or tails. Example 2, the probability of rolling a 6-sided die and obtaining a 5, so you're talking about a single die. You have a 1 in 6 probability of any one of those sides coming up. Probability of rolling a 5, that's one of the outcomes out of the 6, so you have a 1 in 6 chance that you have a 5 showing up, because there's 6 possible outcomes. Let's see, the probability of a random person will have been born in January. So basically, you have 31 days of January out of 365, not if 366 if you're including a leap year. So because there's 31 successful outcomes out of 365, so 31 out of 365 chance of finding somebody or picking somebody at random that they have a January birthday. And then things can get more complicated. They do get more complicated when you have multiple events simultaneously. Often the sample space must be created to represent the outcomes. The sample space is simply a list, diagram, chart, or all of the possible outcomes for some event. So the probability that it snows tomorrow and the probability that we have a fire alarm tomorrow. There's, is there a fire alarm tomorrow? I have no idea. But let's say we have basically a 1 in 20 chance of having a fire alarm at any given time at school, because you have to do 1 fire alarm drill every month. And then the probability it snows tomorrow, you just have to watch the news to see what that is. They say it's a 30% chance, it's a 3 out of 100 chance, or 30 out of 100 chance of snow. So things like that. You can sit there and look at multiple events taking place. You basically just multiply the probabilities. Okay? All right. So, my story on Monday is actually going to deal quite a bit with this. You roll 2 dice, and they're both 6-sided die, and each die is labeled 1 through 6. The first die doesn't know what the second die is going to roll. If you roll the dice together, or if you roll them independently from each other, the event still can take place. So you can get a 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, a 1 and 2, any of those outcomes. So there's 36 outcomes that can take place when you roll a dice. Okay, you have 6 outcomes of the first die, and you have 6 outcomes of the second die. 6 times 6 is 36. So your sample space is 36. So if you look at this board, how you know what number you got, it was ever spacing upward, you add those 2 together. So if they say, hey, the probability of rolling a 7, this is how it works pretty easily. So you look here, 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 and here. So a 6 and 1, a 5 and 2, a 4 and 3, a 3 and 4, a 2 and 5, and 1 and 6. There's 6 outcomes that are a 7. So you have a 6 out of 36, which reduces to a 1 out of 6 probability that you would roll a 7 with a pair of dice. Okay? Rolling the sum of a 7 or an 11, well, here is an 11 as well. So you count them up. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have 8 outcomes, rolling a 7 or 11. Okay? There's 8 successful outcomes. So you have an 8 out of 36 chance of you rolling a 7 or an 11. And the probability of rolling a total greater than 5. So greater than 5, if I highlight this, let's see, here. Okay, so it's all of these events right here. Okay, so if you count them up, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Rolling greater than 5. Greater than a 5. Oh, I think we're incorrect on our thing. Okay, because these are 5s. It doesn't say equal to or greater than 5. Probability of rolling a total greater than 5. So this number is actually incorrect. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So you have a 26 out of 36 chance of rolling greater than a 5. Okay, so this is just the whole sample space that could take place with rolling a die. Okay, it works pretty well. Again, the game in Vegas or any casino that uses a pair of dice, the game is called craps, and it's actually a very active game. It's very lively game. You can have people who are betting for the roller. That's usually what the table wants you to do. Sometimes you get the person who is betting the don't, meaning the roller will not be successful, and that means you're basing your wins on with the house. Okay, and the odds how they pay out is significantly less than what the house's odds are. So they still figure out how to get the money, but it's kind of like a bad mojo at the table if somebody is betting against the roller because everyone else is betting with the roller. So it's like, oh, boo, we don't like you. Okay, but there's advantages and disadvantages of any of it. The main thing I will tell you this about gambling, my friends: do not gamble more than you can lose. Okay, so if you choose when you hit the age of 21 to go to a casino, set yourself a limit. Okay, I'm gonna go in with $200 or $500 or $1,000. Once that money's gone, you do not chase after a bet. Okay, trust me, I made that error after my first week in Vegas. I was at a casino playing craps. I lost my money. In my mind, I thought, it's got to change. It's got to get better at the table. So I gave the casino my credit card. It took a $3,000 cash advance off my credit card. And I lost that $3,000. Now here's the kicker. You do a cash advance on your credit card. The casino is very happy to, we're happy to run you a cash advance on your credit card. And then you want $3,000? Well, that $3,000, you have an automatic 26% surcharge that the credit card company is going to put against you. And then if you can't pay it all off in a month, then you have about a 24% rate on your credit card. And I will tell you, it took me quite a while to pay off chasing a bet. Okay? I mean, it's real. It happened to me, and I felt like a ding-dong doing it. Yeah.
So the credit card company charges you 26%
on a cash advance. Yeah. Yeah, so $260 for every 1,000. Yeah. Yeah, it's a kick in the teeth. But the casino's not going to tell you that. Oh, you would like us to get you a cash advance on this? Certain. You can stay at the table. We'll be right back. They'll bring your credit card back to you. Here's your receipt that they took $3,000 against your credit card. Here's your chips. You get your bill at the end of the month going, okay, $3,000 plus, $700 up plus dollars, $800 plus dollars. I lost that money. And then I lost the money to the credit card company. Oh my goodness. It's not a good idea. It seems like a great idea. Of course, what does the state of Nevada do for you while you're gambling? They give you all of the complimentary adult beverages you could drink. Why is that? Because as you're drinking more, your thought process is not quite as much as it had been, and you start building confidence. But I will tell you, boy, those casinos, they love to take your money. They love it. It's fun for them. But no, you will find out on my Monday story. Monday next week. Okay, let's see. This is another example. It says sample space for rolling a die and flipping a coin. There are 12 outcomes because you have 6 outcomes from the die. You have 2 outcomes from the coin. 2 times 6 is 12. So you can throw a heads and a 1, heads and a 2, heads and a 3. And then you can also have the tails 1, tails 2, tails 3, so on and so forth. Okay? So the probability that you roll an even number, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and flipping a heads, 1 out of 2. So basically, on how this one works, rolling an even number, you have 1, 2, 3 outcomes that are taking place, and flipping a heads, there's 1 outcome for a heads. So 3 times 1 is 3. That's where you get a 3 for your numerator. And then you have 12 outcomes, so you have 3 in 12 chance, or 1 out of 4 chance probability of you getting even number and flipping a heads. The probability of rolling an even number or flipping a heads becomes 9 out of 12. Now, I'm going to do that on my computer so it's on a video. So there's a 1 word different. Okay, so they're showing your dice and this, and you have heads 1, heads 2, heads 3, heads 4, heads 5, heads 6, tail 1, tail 2, tail 3, tail 4, tail 5, tail 6. So the first one was probability of even and heads. Okay, so even is 2, 4, 6, 8. So you have a 3 out of 6 chance. Heads is this. 3 times 1 is 3. 6 times 2 is 12. So you have a 1 and 4. But then they change it. They change 1 word. They change it to probability of even or heads. Okay, so what you do is you look at all of the odd heads, all of the even heads. So there's 6 heads, 3 happen to be even. And then they wanted to also do an even number, so you have these as even numbers. So you have one event or the other. So then you count it up. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So you have 9 outcomes that could take place. So 9 out of 12. So you have a 3 out of 4 probability of doing one event or the other. So please be cautious when they use the word and. This is both events. If they were use the word or, it's both the events. Both events. Or any single of either event. Okay? So that's basically the thing. The sample space for selecting a card randomly from a deck of cards is shown on the next page. There are 52 cards in the deck, not including jokers. The hearts, diamonds cards are red. The clubs and spades are black. Okay, so we couldn't show up here red and black. We can show black, obviously. So the lighter color is the red. Dark color are the black one. So you have 26 hearts and diamonds, ace through king. You have 26 black cards, which are ace through king as well. So the probability of selecting a king. Probability of selecting a king.
Is that all right?
So, if you had a standard 52 deck of cards, the probability you select a king, there happen to be 4 kings in the deck, there happen to be 52 outcomes, so that's 1 out of 13 if you reduce it. Again, you don't have to reduce the probabilities. Then they want this one. They wanted to say, what's the probability to select a red and a king? So both of these events take place. There are 2 red kings, being diamond or heart, out of 52. So this is a 1 in 26 probability. So if you want the 2 events to take place at the same time, but then they say, what's the probability of selecting a red or a king? Okay, friends, don't double count. Okay, so I want to show you this up on the board. All right, so if I'm looking at this one, I want the probability of selecting a red or a king. So these are the red ones. These are the red cards right here. 2 of those red cards happen to be a king. Agree? Don't double count. So this is 26 cards right here, which is 2 red kings. How many more kings are in the deck of cards? There's 2 more. So then you have 2 black kings. Okay? So that means you have 28, 26 plus 2 out of 52. Okay? Don't double count. So when I'm saying double count is because these kings right here are taking place. Don't double count that. So realize if what you're looking for is part of the other part you're looking for, don't double count it. So that's why you don't have 30 out of 52. Okay? All right. Probability of selecting a diamond and a spade. Well, you're either going to get a diamond or not that one, or a spade. Okay? If it's a single thing, there's no cards in the deck that are both a diamond and a spade together. So you have a 0 probability of that taking place. And then, what's the probability I select a diamond or a spade? All of the diamonds are 13. All of the spades are 13. There's no overlap. 13 plus 13 is 26. So you have 26 out of 52. So again, just covering up, making sure we're good. The words and or are very important statistics. The word and mandates both events must occur in the same trial within the sample space. An example, we had to find cards that are both red and king. There are only 2 red kings in the deck of cards. The word or mandates any outcome in the sample space in which either or both events must occur be included. So example 9, we had all of the outcomes are red, all of the outcomes are king. There's an overlap, and of course, we never count an outcome in sample space twice, and that's what I had highlighted above. Okay? Mutually exclusive outcomes can never occur at the same trial. The term helps highlighted in example 10. Can I select a diamond and a spade? A diamond and a spade are mutually exclusive events, 2 different events, even though you're talking about the same deck. Okay, so those are the thing. So if A and B are mutually exclusive outcomes, that means the probability of A and B would be 0. But if A and B are mutually exclusive outcomes, they'll say the same thing. Oh, this should say or. So change that to or. Okay. So A or B are mutually exclusive. Then the probability of A or probability of B is the probability of A plus the probability of B. So that's starting probabilities for us. Okay. Again, a big thing. You know, they actually have found on the Monopoly board the most landed upon space on the game of Monopoly is St. Charles Place. Okay, if you play the game Monopoly, try and get St. Charles Place as one of your properties shown. It's the most most hit upon spot. Of course, the probability that takes place with that is over many outcomes of the die that you're rolling. Okay, or the dice that you're rolling. So St. Charles Place is the most actively landed on spot. So again, if you play the game of Monopoly, St. Charles Place is the one definite one that you want to play. Okay? Okay, it's landed on the most. Okay? Most people who start out playing Monopoly, have y'all played Monopoly before? Game that like takes about 6 months to do. Yeah, it is the longest going game. I will tell you, if you ever want to play a really fun Monopoly game, you change out the Monopoly cash with real cash and have everybody put the same amount of money in, and someone could walk away from that table pretty well. Do me a favor. Somebody look this up for me. How much Monopoly cash is in the bank of a standard Monopoly game?
It's like,
Look it up. It's on your phones. $20,500. So $20,580 in there. If you ever want to play a good game, if you have 4 people, you tell everyone, hey, look, you're bringing in $5,114, I think. I think I did that right. No, I didn't. Yeah. Where's my calculator? There it is. 2580 divided by 4. Yeah, you tell everyone, show up with $5,145 of your own cash, and you play with real cash on Monopoly. You might have someone walk away from the table really mad. All right. So I think we've done enough damage to get your mind stirred a little bit. What I plan on for tomorrow is have some fun with it. 4-1. I don't have our tests from last week graded yet. I hope to get them done graded by tomorrow. I'll get them in there. And I had a couple people who won't be here because for the finals because they're traveling. And so one person got an 18 out of 20, one got a 16 out of 20, and one got a 15 out of 20. So, and they weren't able to work with people. So that's